Hey, what's up you guys, how's it going? It's Papa, and today I'm going to be showcasing you guys a brand new deck that I haven't posted on my channel before, and that's Branded Despia. Now, I know Branded Despia just did have a really good showing at the recent YCS that happened this past weekend, and I've been a really big fan of this deck. I mean, it's not the playstyle that I'm used to using, but I've always admired the deck. I've always enjoyed like the artworks, I've always enjoyed the combos, but I've never actually played it myself, so I wanted to try and go ahead and learn this deck, and this is just my first draft that I have on it. It's nowhere near complete, but this is just what I have built so far. It has some choices that happened over the weekend, and then it also has just how I feel I want to play it, something that's just a little bit easier for me to learn, but hopefully it can be a good deck building base for you guys, as well as it's been working for me. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and show what we are playing in the deck. Starting off for the main deck, we are on the 3 copies of Aluber, the Jester of Despia. So, of course, what this card does, when it's normal summon, you get to add a branded spell or trap from the deck, and this is basically what gets your combo going. So you'd use this, you get yourself a copy of Branded Fusion, if you don't have it already, but you can use this also to be summoned off a branded opening to get your combos going like that as well. But this is basically just your main starter of the deck. So 3 Aluber. Next, we are on 3 copies of Fallen of Albaz. Now, as much as I like the idea of playing 2 of this, I've been playing 2 for the longest time in other builds. Basically, I started off playing 2 with this deck when I started picking up the deck and playing it myself, but I do like this card. I do feel like you do need 3, especially because we are playing Allure, but it's very good. You kind of need to have it because it helps you break Kashtira boards when you're going second and you're kind of locked into your zones, so you definitely need to play 3 of this. This card is just nuts. Next, we are on 2 copies of Mercurier. I know this is very controversial. I see a lot of people playing 2 copies of this, and then I see just as many people play 1. I'm not too sure how much I like. I mean, I have enjoyed it at 2. It's been a lot easier to play with 2, just in case like I mess up the combos. Again, I'm not perfect with this deck. It's something that I am still learning, but for the most part, I've enjoyed playing 2, being able to send 1 off a Branded Fusion to get yourself your Brindrum going, basically your turn 1. It's very good, but also like just having it in hand just for extra forms of negation. But if you do open up Allure with this card, you don't feel too bad because it helps you get to your Cartesia, but very good to have. So I do enjoy playing 2 of this card. For 1 of Nans, I am on 1 Tragedy, I'm on 1 Albion, and I'm on 1 Libidum. I do sometimes miss having a second Tragedy, I'm not gonna lie. I do feel like maybe you could get away with playing 2 Tragedy. I feel 3 is just too much, but right now I'm just trying 1 and it's been okay, but I do miss the second one just again because I am playing Allure. But the other 2 I feel like is necessary. I mean, like the Ad Libitum hand effect when you fuse with it is just too good not to play. And then the Albion, you kind of need it for the combo when you are playing Retribution. So you kind of need these cards. Definitely just at 1 of. Again, if you want to make room, you could play 42 and play the Tragedy. I am at 41 on this list, but again, just still testing the waters. Lastly, we do play 1 Blazing Cartesia. I've seen a few people play 2 of this card, and I understand why. I feel like playing 2 copies of this makes it to where you have more of a chance of opening it, which is good and bad, but I feel like you mainly want to be searching this all the time. You never really want to see it in your opening hand, because if you don't open up like a way to get Albaz into the graveyard, this card's not really all that good. So you definitely want to go ahead and just play 1. I feel 1 is fine because again, you do have a multiple ways of getting to it. So very good to play. I am on some Bistal cards. I'm on 3 copies of Serenir. I do feel like you still need the Bistals for this deck. Mainly because you don't want to get hit by Ibli. I know Ibli is very popular in the format, so just being able to get yourself an extra copy of Serenir if you haven't opened up one already is really good for blocking out the Ibli, so that way you can still play on your turn. I'm only on 2 Libellion. I was trying 3 for the longest time, and I feel like just 2 is fine. I sometimes want to drop this card down to 1 because it is just kind of whatever. I mean, after listening to the profiles over the weekend, seeing how everyone thought about this deck, I do kind of agree with it because you don't really want to draw dead Bistals. So I did take out Magnema, I did take out Jurosworm and Baldrake. I just opted for the 3 Serenir because it's really detrimental to the combo, and I just ended up with the 3 with a 2 ratio. So just 5 Bistals. I didn't feel like I needed anything more. A really hot take over the weekend was the people that were playing Dragoon in this deck, and I really like that idea. I think it's really cool. So we do play the 1 Dark Magician just to help facilitate your access to Dragoon in the extra deck. But it's a really cool idea, and I haven't played too much with it, but I do like it. So this is the 41st card in the deck just because you want to end on an Omni Negate to play around Nibiru. play around like evenly matched, just whatever it may be. But playing the 1 Dark Magician is very crucial for that, so you have to play it. Forms of Interruption, we are on 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Of course, you kind of need 3 Ash for this format. It's really good against Theosis. It's really good against the Mirror Match. Being able to hit Branded Fusion, of course, is very key if they don't have a Fusion deployment as well. So you definitely want to play 3 Ash because it's just good against everything right now. And then we're also on 3 copies of Book of Eclipse. You could play Nibiru in the main deck. I'm not playing Nibiru in the main deck. I just played in the side deck, but 3 Ash, 3 Book of Eclipse is really good. I feel like if you want to play evenly match as well, you could throw in evenly match and you could just take out the allures and play 3 evenly. So that way you have 9 copies of like Disruption in the main deck. Again, if you want to play Nibiru, you can. It's totally up to preference. It is 41. I did want to try and keep the deck as close to 40 as possible. So I just went with the 6 interruptions, and I feel like it's been very good so far. But again, just still testing the waters, seeing how the format develops. For more spells, again, just for helping with consistency, we are on 3 copies of Allure. You don't really need 3. I feel like I could cut this down to 2 if not play it at all, but if you really want to, you could just cut this and play like 3 copies of Evenly, 3 copies of Nibiru. This could just be 3 whatever cards that you want to. I might cut it out for those cards. I'm not too sure. Again, I still just want to see like how this deck pans out going forward. We are on 3 copies of Branded Opening. Of course, this card is just absolutely nuts. 3 copies of Branded Fusion. You have to play 3. I mean, if this card was at 1 or 2, then I don't know what to tell you. 1 copy of Branded in Red for Chimera, Branded in White, and then Branded Lost for our other like branded spells. All these cards are just really detrimental. Branded in White you have to play because of the Branded Retribution line that you can play during the turn 1, so you have to play those cards, but everything else just seems super self-explanatory at this point. This is something that I see a lot of people playing. I do play 2 copies of Deployment. I've seen people play 3. I've seen people not play this card at all, but I do really like the 2. Again, because I am playing 40 in the main deck, or 41 I should say. So if you want to play more than 40, I would go ahead and just suggest playing 3 copies of this. But since I am trying to keep the deck as minimal as possible, I did just opt to play 2. But this card's really, really good. Other spell I play, I do play 1 Call by the Grave. Again, if you get hit by Ash on your Branded Fusion, that kind of sucks. And then it's also really good for hitting Dimensional Shifter. It's really good for hitting like the Iblis, so that way it doesn't get summoned to your field. But you want to have like some way to just stop hand traps, and this is like the easiest way I could think of. It's also really good in the mirror for when you do when your opponent does Branded and Red, and then you can just hit the card out of the graveyard to just negate it. Very, very nice. And then I'm only on 2 traps. I play 1 Branded Beast and I play 1 Branded Retribution. The Beast you can get off of the Lubellion. Doesn't really come up too much because I usually just end up activating Lost instead. It's just much easier. And then just the 1 Retribution. This might come out to just make the deck even 40, just so I can play the 1 Lost with the Lubellion instead. It just seems a lot better. But that's really it for the main deck. We are looking at 41 cards in the main. No more, no less. Moving on to the extra deck. I'm not going to go too crazy into depth on a like side deck or anything, because again, this is just a rough draft, so we are just going to explain the extra deck. I am on 2 copies of Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon. Seems self-explanatory. I don't ever see anyone playing 3, so I just went with 2. I've only ever played 2 in like any branded like package that I've ever played. It seems like you only need 2. I feel like if you play 1, that's just bad, because the Unicorn and the Diablosis can like just help you get rid of them, and you don't want that, so you have to play 2. 2 copies of Albion, same reasoning. Again, you want to make sure you have extra copies of all the important cards in your extra deck, just so that way you're not getting banished on your opponent's turn. You really need to make sure that you have 2 Albions, because you can send it during the combo. Very, very good. 2 copies of Lubellion. This card is debatable to be playing 2 of, but I really like having the second one, just again because we are playing the Dragoon, and Lubellion plus Dark Magician summons Dragoon, so that's really good as well. I am on 2 copies of Rinbrum. I see people playing 1 in this, and you don't really want to play 1. I just feel like it's the same as playing double copies of Zeus, because this is a form of negation on your turn 1. You can make this before 5 summons, not like it matters too much because it doesn't work against Nibiru, but it's still really, really good. You need to make sure that you're playing 2 copies of this to stop like the Shangri-La, stop the Arise Heart. This card's just really, really broken. Next, we are on 1 copy of Granganol, the Dust Dragon. You make this with the Blazing Cartesia. This card's really nuts. This card helps you send Garura. It helps you send Albion just to make your plays just keep going, but this card is really, really good. Very nice day for the branded deck. One Brigand, the Glory Dragon. You use this just basically for recyclability. It's fine. I never really use it too much, but it is a really good card. One Masquerade. You don't really need two. I feel like if you want to play two, you can, but playing one is just fine. I've never seen myself in an instance where I've needed two of this card, but it is very good nonetheless. One copy of Quarterus. I've seen people play the Proskinian, and I've seen people play Quarterus. I see people play one or the other, sometimes both, but very rarely. If you're not playing Dragoon, you probably do play the both, but I only play the Quarterus just because I am on the Dragoon, so I didn't feel like if I had to pick between Proskinian and the Quarterus, this card's just infinitely better, in my honest opinion, but again, it all just preference, so for that, I just chose to play the Quarterus. One copy of Guardian Chimera. This card is just insane. Being able to just have Disruption, being able to just draw cards. This card just has many good usages for any matchup. It's absolutely insane. I really do like this card a lot. One of the reasons why I decided to play this deck, but it's just so nutty. One copy of Garura. You use this to send off of the Grengol, the Dust Dragon. Again, sorry for butchering the name. I know I didn't say it right the first time. Definitely not going to say it right the second time, but you do need to play the Garura because it's just so good. And the last card that we're playing in the extra deck is one copy of Dragoon, just because the combo with Lubellion, you can use Fusion Deployment as well to get to this. This card is just absolutely nutty. It just has a form of negation, and then also just helps going second to help win for game. It's very, very good. I do like this card a lot. But yeah, that's gonna go ahead and do it, guys. It wasn't my idea for the Dragoon, of course. I got this from the guy who got second place at the last YCS this past weekend, but this is just my first take on branded. Don't get me wrong, it is something that I wanted to try and keep learning because it is a lot of fun to play when you go uninterrupted. But again, if you get ashed on like the branded fusion, it does suck, but it is Yu-Gi-Oh sometimes, so it's one of the risks that you have to take for playing such a high like glass cannon kind of deck. But that's really going to do it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have anything that can help me in the comment section down below, please let me know. And until next time, guys, this has been Papa, and I will catch you all in my next video. Take care, everyone.